Somewhere out there, you have been told, is a person living large on your paycheck. You work, they collect. You know the story. Here is what they never told you. That entire stereotype was built from one woman, and her story grew every time it was retold. This is Case File 3, how one real con artist was turned into millions of imaginary neighbors. You have felt it. Standing in line, tired, watching someone pay with a benefits card, and wondering, am I the only one playing fair? That flash of resentment feels like your own idea. It is not. It was manufactured, mass-produced, and delivered to you. It even has a name, coined in 1974 and repeated ever since. The Welfare Queen. Fur coats, a tax-free fortune billed to hard workers like you. You could describe her without ever having met her. That is the tell. When everyone can describe someone nobody has met, you are not looking at a neighbor. You are looking at an ad. So this file works like the others. First, why you believed it, then the receipts, then who cashed in on your resentment. Because somebody did cash in, and it was not the woman in the Cadillac. Start fair. Fraud is real. Somewhere right now, somebody is cheating a benefits program. Nobody in this file will tell you otherwise. And you have worked for every dollar. When your check shrinks and someone else seems to coast, the sting is honest. Maybe you watched a neighbor game something once. One real memory is all a stereotype needs to feel like proof. The nightly news helped. One outrageous cheat makes a story. 10 million quiet grocery budgets do not. And the woman existed. That is what made this one so durable. She was real, and she was spectacular. Her name was Linda Taylor, and by every account, she was a genuine con artist. The receipts on her are real. So when a presidential candidate told her story, it did not feel like politics. It felt like your suspicion confirmed at last. One woman confirmed it for a whole country. That is efficient, suspiciously efficient. Because between the real Linda Taylor and the story you inherited, something changed. The numbers, the scale, the meaning. To see what changed, put the newspaper and the speech side by side. Watch the story grow. Chicago, 1974. A Tribune reporter named George Bliss covers a fraud case. A woman with aliases, luxury cars, and welfare checks. The Welfare Queen. One woman, one case. Cadillac, Lincoln, Chevrolet. The detective's report is specific. 27 names, 31 addresses, 3 social security cards, a real, prosecutable con. 2 years later, a presidential candidate tells her story at rally after rally. Listen to the same woman, upgraded. 80 names, 30 addresses, 12 social security cards, 4 dead husbands who never existed, a tax-free fortune. 27 names became 80, 3 cards became 12. Her income grew past the court record, and some claims past any source at all. Her biographer spent years in the archives and found the truth was darker. Taylor's worst crimes had nothing to do with wealth. She was investigated for kidnapping, suspected in a death, and the country remembers her for grocery, because the story was never really about her. Watch the pronoun change. She became they. They became your neighbor. One documented con artist, singular, was quietly turned into a population. No court ever convicted the plural. And the plural is who you have been resenting at the grocery store for 50 years. So let us do what nobody did for you back then. Let us look at who actually gets the help. Government measures benefit fraud, not politicians, auditors. The number for food assistance around 1%. 1%. The other 99 cents of every dollar goes where it was aimed. So who is it aimed at? 39% of food assistance recipients are children, kids, the Cadillac demographic. 20% are elderly, 10% are disabled, and nearly 4 in 10 live in households that working, and still qualifying for food help. Read that again slowly, because it is the quiet scandal nobody campaigns on. The welfare queen never shows up in the audit. You know what shows up instead? The suspect board stays empty again. And here is the part that lands closest to home. The odds are decent that the help has your family's fingerprints on it. Tax credits for workers, food help, Medicaid, unemployment after a layoff, school lunches. Somebody you love has probably used one. Were they the queen? Or were they a working person in a hard year, using what they had paid for? The stereotype cannot tell the difference. That is not a bug in the stereotype. That is its function. And it collects a tax nobody votes on. Shame. Eligible families skip help they earned, so nobody mistakes them for her. A story efficient enough to make you refuse your own money. Now ask who designed it that efficient. Follow the beneficiaries. If the poor are cheating, then cutting help is not cruelty. It is justice. Feel how easy that vote gets. Politicians of both parties wrote her. 20 years after the speeches, welfare, as America knew, it was ended with bipartisan applause. The stereotype also does quieter work. It splits you from your neighbor, worker versus moocher, taxpayer versus taker. Except those are the same people in different months. You employed, you laid off, you back on your feet. To be fair, fraud enforcement is legitimate. Auditors should audit. The lie was never that cheats exist. The lie is the scale. 1% sold to you as half. One woman sold to you as million. The resentment you carried to the checkout line landed on your neighbors, your family, you in your worst year. The corkboard from the first 2 files is still waiting. The cheating masses never arrive. The children in the data always do. What arrives instead every time is arithmetic. One real criminal, one ambitious story, and 50 years of you paying for it in suspicion. Which brings you back to that checkout line, because now you know who taught you what to feel there. The welfare queen. Translation, do not look at the wage, the rent, or the bill. Look sideways at the family next door. She was real once, singular, and convicted. The millions of her were manufactured and never existed at all. So here is the truth. The stereotype was built to hide. Your neighbor was never your problem. The story turned one criminal into a mirror and told you your neighbor's face was in it. 50 years later, you can still describe a woman you never met. That was not an accident. That was the sale. Case file 3 is closed. Next, the poverty premium. Why being poor costs more every single month than being rich.